Blade and take out Li Ming. So that was really cool. Thank you for that. We've got map number 2 ready, or for game number 2, and we'll see what that is going to be. L5 choosing to have, very likely, yes, first pick, and MVP Black have chosen Cursed Hollow.
Cursed Hollow. So we normally haven't seen as much Abathur, but as of late, the last couple of days, he's becoming more and more useful for a lot of our teams, it looks like, and this is a battleground that you can see him on.
Yeah, Abathur is definitely an option, but what I'm personally looking for, first of all, I want to say that the draft on map number 1 for MVP Black was really cool, the way that they designed it just a little differently. They played it extremely well. But what I want to see is now where Genji comes into play, because I really would love for L5 to either ban or pick him here, since the situation that we saw now is over and over again the same. Genji on the side of MVP Black just doesn't lose. I feel in the last game there were a couple of other actors that really made the game, but the impact that he has still is incredible.
Well, here, they may have the chance to actually pick him as a first pick, as MVP Black decides that Illidan's a little bit too strong and they ban him out, but L5 instead picks up the Ariel.
Swoi's Ariel is the Ariel that CE said they felt like they first realized the power of this support. But unfortunately, you only get one ban, so there's only so many things you could keep from your opponents, and Illidan is a smart one. L5 have won both of their games in Cursed Hollow, and they've even picked it, so it is a favored battleground for them, which is a little bit surprising that MVP Black were willing to pick it here, but maybe just wanting to get it out of the way.
Did they go Genji into a support? Yeah. They do. Genji into Uther.
And I want to highlight this real quickly. Uther was a hero that the Korean teams coming into this did not really prioritize highly, especially when compared to the Western meta. Now, all of a sudden, we are seeing Uther over and over again early on in these drafts. Granted, on a lower priority than Oriel, but they really respect at this point Uther, not Uther's utility against an Illidan, against an Genji through stuns, but also what he offers with a Divine Shield. And in this case, now partnering up with Genji, that first pick especially doesn't really surprise, given how successful MVP Black is here.
It may be that they think that one of the best ways to beat Oriel is to get that Genji full-on and dive with an Uther Divine Shield and just focus the hyper carry, period. And that's why they actually pick him up here instead of moving into the Rhaegar, which we've been seeing a little bit more the last few days.
MVP Black also has ways of dealing with Ariel. We've seen it work both effectively and not so effectively, but with the Gul'dan. So we'll see if that is a possible consideration for them. Not necessarily a Gul'dan battleground as something as much as Shrines or even Tomb, but they do, it always seems like when they allow Ariel through, it's with a plan in mind.
So SCSE and that Vala is not going to be available here. It's interesting. A lot of the metas we would look at and say, ban out the Lunara. Vala's a little bit on the weaker side, but when it comes to the Korean meta, Vala has been outstanding the last couple days.
Yeah, it's definitely true. And not only it's not only for me personally about what Oriel is going to be paired up with now on the side of L5, but looking at their ban, I want to know if they are targeting Rich, since we had him on very specific heroes throughout the entire tournament, and one of the key heroes that he played was Illidan. And Illidan is already taken away. The Haka, which he oftentimes deviated into, is picked on the other side. So typically you would think now about Malthael being picked. He played a lot of Medivh, and we've seen him also on Chen. But this is the 3 heroes that we can, I think, expect from Rich to be taken here. And L5 could try and target it, but they are more worried about the global. They're trying to deny it to MVP Black, since they already have the Haka inside setup.
On the topic of Vala, SCSC has been an incredible Vala for a long time, even at BlizzCon. He averages 5.8 kills per game on her, and it seems like he's incredibly consistent on Vala, but hasn't been able to win with Lunara. So this seems more so even that MVP Black understands. They know L5. They know them like the back of their hand. So L5, their Lunara just isn't quite as potent as their Vala.
No, I totally agree here. I like the ban. It was just more of making a comparison to what we've seen in the past.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's good that they are adapting here. Here's L5. Here's what they play well.
Right.
Get rid of it. And so now we no longer have the Vala, but finally we're seeing Stitches back again here for MVP Black.
I'm loving Stitches here in this setup. First of all, they have Uther already, so finally there's that follow-up that we've been asking for so long after the hook. And you combo it off with Greymane. And Greymane overall is just absolutely fantastic. We pointed out at this tournament how we have a few different playstyles. You can spec more into the walk-in form, especially, of course, if you're trying to be also very dominant around camp control. But after you get the hook in and the stun on Uther, getting that curse bullet and then just trying to blow the target piece, this is exactly what they can do with this now. Stitzer has in the last 3 series fallen off a little bit, but he's making his comeback now in the finals.
So, Gilly, are we going to see a Lunara or a Cassia here from L5?
My guess would be Cassia.
Yeah.
Just knowing the teams, even seeing how highly prioritized Cassia has been.
Yeah, and that's why I think we see the Stitches pick here right away, just so they have a tool to get that Cassia, bring her in, get some lockdown, go for the kill. But L5 is actually going to adjust it up. Murden and Lunara.
And that is so cool that they pick Lunara, since they stated openly that they don't prioritize Lunara because she has a lack of escapes. They didn't really believe in her leap on level 10 to be the only tool for her to get out, and always prioritized Vala, who is now banned by Black. But that L5 actually now adjusts their draft, despite them saying originally, not really our kind of hero, is absolutely awesome. I love to see how they are going to fare with her in the next game.
Well, they're going to need to believe in her here, but she is against Uther, which is a classic pairing against Uther, because he is very cooldown based and has a hard time sometimes dealing with her poison damage, especially as it scales harder and harder into the late game. I'm also pumped to see MVP Black once again get Greymane. We've seen some reset Greymane, but Sake was kind of the original Greymane when you look way back last year in Korea. He became known as Wolf because of his Greymane, and we get Rich's Zeratul. My, we are in for a game.
I am loving this. I did not expect them to go into the Zeratul, but I'm absolutely sold. Yes, you pick him into Tassadar, which makes it a bit harder with your movement. But with everything that they have now, the one-shot potential is insane. And also the isolation tools that they have after hook with a Void Prison. And there's so many targets on the other side. You can jump on Oriel, you can go for Lunara. So I'm absolutely loving what they're drafting here.
Yeah, Ariel is going to have to be on point with the ages. As Zeratul and Genji comes in to jump onto the Lunara, or even a Tassadar after a dimensional shift, you have to save him there, or the team fight is just done.
Scary, scary point to be in for L5.
And Rich has definitely shown that he has the skills and the tools to make that Zeratul into a terrifying weapon.
That he has. Here he is on his Zeratul. MVP Black winning the last game. They are Kyocha, Tist, Rich, Sake, and Reset.
On the left side, in the blue, it will be L5, currently tied 1-1 against MVP Black. SCSC will be showing off the Lunara, and I'm excited for it.
I am too. I'm ready to see, even if they don't prioritize it, if they have still been practicing it, utilizing it, because there's a lot on SCSC's shoulders here to make sure that Lunara is topped off in hope.
Going to be grabbing that level 1 Stormbolt here for the Murden, looking to get that extra damage here. Seems to be just a Korean thing. We're seeing tons of that picked up here, as they seem to really love their ability to land those Stormbolts and ramp up that damage when need be. But it is going to come down to that Zeratul. Let's keep an eye on Rich, as he will be sharking around looking for these fights. Typically, when you have a Lunara, Ariel, Tassadar, you'll try and group those 3 together, push down a lane. But with the threat of a Zeratul coming in with a Genji, it may force L5 to be a bit more reserved.
Yeah, no surprise at all to see Rich and Reset hanging out together as we kick things off in the lane. Also have Stitches being able to sort of solo lane, but likely we'll see a rotation come up now that we've seen where the tri-lane of L5 will take place. But they're going to get a lot done before the rotations come in.
Yeah, they have roughly 7 seconds here before we have the Zeratul and the Genji show up, and they'll take that small window that Murden yelled out to the teammates here to take that turret down. Well played here by L5. Hooligan will have some pressure in the middle. Should have a Dwarf Toss. He does get it. Pops away from the fight and will be able to sit by turrets. But this enables L5. I love it. They react accordingly in the top lane. They pressure the other turret. Here in the bottom, though, Zhanghua in trouble.
Zhanghua gets a drag. That may have been the drag that saved his life, actually. L5 are... We know what L5 wants to do with this composition. They want to have one person in each lane, ideally have Dahaka the furthest away, and then you have Murden in the middle just to kind of hold the lane. But it's all about what these 3 people can do up in the top. MVP Black are attempting to at least try to keep up the Uther and the Greymane in the bottom, and doing the damage that they did to Zhanghua and seeing him walk all the way down, that gave them enough time to catch up while the rest of MVP Black rotates between mid, holding onto that lane, and then going top looking for ganks.
That's right. The correct answer here for L5 is to just go ahead and push in the top lane. Well, MVP Black is doing a great job of controlling that middle and bottom with their constant ganks. Actually, they've gotten a bit more of a fort lead here in terms of damage done. That Gray main being uncontested for the small amount of seconds that you alluded to was just enough to give them a nice spotting.
Yeah, because he can get that bonus damage in Working Form right off the bat. Not only does it make Greymane a great hat target and clone target for an Abathur, but also lets him do that early damage and the structural damage right from the beginning. The Drag's going to come in, and SDE is here slowing down Sake. Kyocha doing what he can to heal, but again, very cooldown base for Kyocha. He's also low on mana, but Sake makes it out with a rotation of reset.
Nice little juke too, jumping to that bottom wall. If it got in the bush to the top left, Dahaka could have given chase and gone for the kill, but him going to the bottom left deters away that full-on engage from the Dahaka. So MVP Black will be able to get a fort, but L5 answering back with a tribute in the top, and they have yet to find that room to keep pushing in, as they're just a little bit too frightened of the Zeratul.
The Zeratul is scary, and the Stitches pretty effectively clears out the waves. Now Kyocha comes in. Hooligans here as well. But because the fort was taken in the bottom lane, MVP Black have some more wiggle room to move around, and they're going to use that Greymane and his great ability to take out mercenary camps. Great dodge by Tis, but you can't dodge the whip.
Sway coming in, bringing out the whip. The whip will help out, but we're going to have Stitches just go ahead and shrug it off and pull out a hook himself. Swoy hoping to escape here while SESC turns around and burns down Reset.
Man, a shotgun Stormbolt will be the end of Reset. Getting first blood in the game. L5 firing back, even though they haven't been able to take out that bottom fort top fort yet.
They should be able to now. With that kill, they actually remove the threat of a gank coming in because Zeratul's in the bottom lane and Genji is no longer on the field. So now they get their reward. They turn around, focus down the turret, fort will finally fall, and we're at 7-7 for both of our teams with one tribute grabbed.
Loving the adjustment of getting Kala's Light for Tassadar, being able to provide armor, even if Zeratul, Genji, and Greymane take out the shield as soon as it pops on a target. Haven't seen very much adjustment to that in all of this tournament, but I'm really excited to see it here from L5.
Yeah, I believe the entire tournament we have yet to see this talent picked up, and I agree with you. I'm glad that it is here. It's important against that Zeratul, against that Genji. Hooligan coming in for the fight, bringing out the engage. At the same time, Kyocha channeling on the right side, while SESC will need some help because Reset is currently sitting on his face, but SESC bringing the slow, the poison's enough. In fact, cool guys don't look at explosions, they run away from them.
SCSD says, I don't need any help. I'm fine with this Reset, especially once Deflect was down. That is the power of Lunara, of poisons versus protection. You are not guaranteed that protection because you can still be able to constantly put out all of the poison damage, and that gets a lot more now that she has Splintered Spear.
That's right, the damage will continue there, and a nice little lead here for L5, and that Splintered Spear is actually very important, and that's the #1 power spike that Lunara is even picked for, being able to bring out the 4 chunks of damage against multiple melees, and you have a lot here. You have Stitches, you have Greymane potentially, you have Uther, and you have Zeratul that might be near you. You have a lot of value that will be occurring, so SESC hoping to bring the damage as much as possible whenever he gets into those fights. And now, it's all about soaking. Get to level 9, get to level 10, because the next tribute is very important for L5. If they get 10 and a curse, they push in and get forts.
Yeah, they've already taken out one fort. There are a lot of opportunities for them. Even both bosses are still available. Neither has even deigned to touch their boss as of yet. And L5, closer to heroic abilities, does offer a slight power play when you look at that tribute spawning in just a few seconds.
Gotta yell out the movement too from L5. They put Dahaka in the top lane and they put Tassadar in the bottom, which Tassadar has been there soaking. This is a response to the fort falling earlier. This allows Tassadar to have the chance to maybe escape from a fight compared to Dahaka. And that tribute, by the way, was not contested. Here's the curse, and Gilly, what are they gonna get with this?
That's the big question, isn't it? Reset is pushing along with Giants in the bottom, and so that pushes that back a lot. That'll consume a lot of the efforts of Jungha on that Dahaka. But L5 can still... The great thing about this curse for L5 is it's not like they are so pressured to get a lot done because MVP Black are on the verge of their own curse. It's 3-0. They got 1, 2, 3 immediately being able to get it. There's a helping hand from Tis helping on his teammate. But any amount of damage is a great amount for L5 to just start snowballing and spiraling this game out of control for MVP Black to come back.
Tist so helpful. L5 will turn around and focus down the fort. It gets low here. Dahaka was in the bottom side, but taking some pressure from Genji. So he decides to head to the top lane and defend the push coming in from Zeratul. But here is the issue. 10 has hit for MVP Black. We have Gorge up, Void Prison, Dragon Blade, Divine Shield. MVP Black is ready to rumble. They converge in the middle, but L5, they skedaddle away.
Didn't Kaldor say that L5 didn't like Lunara because she had limited mobility?
That's what he said.
And then they took Thornwood Vine?
That's what they did.
What they did.
So,
all right.
Interesting on the Thornwood Vine. So, talking to Dread about this actually a couple days ago,
Okay.
Thornwood Vine is something that you don't really need anymore. The reason why I used to pick it up was because Splinter and Spear wasn't really an option that you can go into. It only had 2 procs back in the day.
Right.
It was buff to 3 and then 4. But now that you have 4, you have the wave clear set up. Lunara here having Thornwood Vines actually makes some decent sense with so much melees being on the opposing side. The problem with it is Zeratul and Genji dies you, that lack of mobility comes in hand, and you also lack burst damage, which means you could fall victim. So a bit of a risk. We'll see if it pays off for SESE.
Well, currently things are paying off for L5 as they get a double stun on Tist, but it is Stitches who has that nice beefy health pool. Yeah, that is an interesting talent choice to see a lot of times with the Thornwood Vine too. The issue is making sure that without the burst, you still have someone who can finish up and clean up the kill, otherwise heal back up. But in this instance, they are again against the solo Uther. So maybe the thought there is, no matter what, Uther can't keep up with all of the very squishy targets between Zeratul, Genji, and Greymane.
That's a good point. This heroic alone by itself helps stress the issue there. Ooh, we'll see if that pays off, but here's where Leaping Strike would have been nice.
Yep.
Tisk gets hit here, brings out the hook, goes into a gorge, and Lunara decides to die off screen just to save her some honor.
The rest of L5, as soon as that happened, was like, no!
Just straight up rolling out. Yeah, and this might be a boss call here. You have Greymane set up. We'll see if any Black is going to make the call. Nah, they decided to go ahead and pull on back and head to the top right. They're wanting to maybe threaten that Dahaka that has pushed in the entire lane at the top, but I would not have mind for them to go for an aggressive boss.
Jungha, I feel, is going to start to be more and more of an issue for MVP Black. This is a large battleground, and as more forts go down, MVP Black doesn't have a global at all. They have pseudo-globals. They have mobility from Genji. They have the feint of a global because Zeratul can be anywhere as long as he's not showing on the map. But in this instance, I would expect MVP Black to continue to try to gank and go for the 4-man. Maybe they'll gank Jungha too, but if they can find the 4-man, I mean, 4 kills is a lot better than 1.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with 4 kills. I don't mind getting those in Hero League, so we'll see if the 4 kills ever do come in, as MVP Black is doing what they can here to get level 13 and be ready for the next tributes, which is spawning in the bottom left. We do have L5 electing to go ahead and go for the defensive maneuver. As you were mentioning, that global being here allows for them to just go defend and have Dahaka rotate in when necessary. And so far, they're all playing a bit on the safe side. Where is everyone as Genji finally shows up in the middle of the map?
Alternatively, MVP Black can gank Jungha because he's the only one who can global in. But there are opportunities for MVP Black. They just need to be fast. Whatever they're going to do, they need to make fast decisions. If it's to jump on the 4-man, make sure that they can kill somebody, use Void Prison, and take them out before Dahaka does come in. Kill that squishy Lunara, so there is no hope for L5.
It's a nerve-wracking moment for L5, isn't it? Where is
It
that
is.
Zeratul? Where is that Genji? When's the Void Prison going to connect? And they just take a nice safe route around the map. Jungla has to play safe, as you've been mentioning, and he has. He ran from the bottom lane all the way to the middle in a safe manner through bushes just to make sure he would not get caught out. But there comes a time here when you have to go in for those engages, even as L5. And that's going to be typically one around the bosses, which unfortunately are not up anymore. So now it goes down to option number 2, which is the tributes.
Yeah, and L5 don't have such a massive advantage, a massive lead in experience, that they can bank on having 16 for a long amount of time over MVP Black, where they can open up and get maybe a free boss or free tributes to get them the next big advantage. They're relying on maybe being able to get a couple kills here and there. Maybe the big team fight around the next tribute will give them that opportunity.
So this game, while not high in kills, has been pretty incredible in terms of control and flow of the map.
Yes.
MVP Black has been trying to open up the map to find spots where they can get the Void Prison into the engage, get more open areas, where L5 has been trying their best to soak because they know the power spikes that Lunara has at 13 and 16. Here's a tribute, though, that will be contested. Rich takes it slow as he is hit. Hooligan unable to follow up with the Storm Bolt, but here comes Jongwa.
Hook is out. That gives a little bit of time for L5 to
Isolation.
move into position. Divine Shield has been used and reset quickly. Starts slicing away at the members of L5.
My golly, that 5-man VP gets nothing out of it as MVP Black decides without the Dragon Blade that had to be used earlier, they had no follow-up. Unfortunate for MVP Black, but it makes sense.
Man, that is a pro call in all senses to drop such a long cooldown.
Yeah.
Heroic of VP. Immediately see, there's no way we flank around this. There's no recovery. It's only going to get worse. They have a double support with the Tassadar. We need to mount up and get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Uther there, I turn around, pick up my hammer, yell Geronimo, and charge in. And then I die. But that is such an enticing moment, right? A 5-man VP. You gotta love the control and the patience from MVP Black. But here is the negative effects of it. 1, Dragon Blade is down. 2, Void Prison's not up for the next 50 seconds. Luckily for them, they'll be able to play safe on the next tribute spawn as they won't have to engage it because L5 only has 1. But that puts them 1 tick closer towards that curse.
The nice thing, too, for MVP Black is that tribute that spawned was in the safe position for L5. So at the very least, that was already going to be a more difficult one for them to take. And they didn't lose anybody. They're still 16 now. They have plenty of time to find the hole in L5 strategy.
Rich with the sick jukes, able to get out. Just kidding. Soy says, hey, here's a ribbon. Rich gets low on health, gets poked down, and Rich will fall.
That's unfortunate.
That it is, especially with MVP Black and needing that VP that what is coming up right now. Problem is, you just put a pseudo 30-second cooldown on top of that.
Tribute spawns. MVP Black, again, has to play the patient game. They've been...
Oh! Tist with the hook across the world. Lands a gorge, brings Hooligan back. Sadly, it's just a murd, and he should be able to get out, and Swoy and crew will come in and fight.
The fight is on. Rich is not up for 8 more seconds, but Reset still has Dragon Blade. Divine Shield has to be used, but the hit bars are just not going down for L5, really. Between the Tassadar, the armor that's given when the Tass Shields break, and then the Ariel who has constant energy, thanks to SCSC being largely fine, MVP Black just still has not been able to find an opening in the fights.
But they created an opening with that hook. They get everyone up now, and they can actually contest this area. Rich is sharking around. The fishing hook goes through 3 people and lands on Ariel. Tist will be focused down, but Lenora, the main battery for this entire team, dies.
Oh, Rich gets dragged back out. There is the Crystal Aegis, which blows up Genji. Void Prison in the back only hit the 1, and that spells the end as well for Zeratul. 2 down. Another.
Stop it! He gets a gorge, brings back his opponent. Hooligan underneath the keep wall. Oh, tries to jump out, but misses as he collides with the wall. Gilly, are you okay?
The hooks just come off screen, and so it's just like, here's a casual hook. It just lightly grabs them and pulls them all the way back in.
It's been a while
How?
since we've seen Fishing Hook, and it's something that you have to think about. I mean, these teams haven't played against Fishing Hook in a while, so you have to always reposition once again and read for it to come your way.
He's 3 for 3 on these fishing hooks.
That's 100%. That's right.
That's great caster math.
Thank you so much. As boss is the next objective for MVP Black with Greymane here, and if you know your opponent's on the opposing side of the map, what they do, they stall the Haka, they charge in and grab the boss instantly. L5 will answer back, and this game continues to be quite the delight.
This series is quite the delight. This is only game 2 of this grand finals, and it has been back and forth as the first one. No keeps taken out. We are approaching 16 minutes into the game. We're also approaching Curse Point if L5 can get that tribute, but it's a long way away from L5 currently.
MVP Black had 2 options here. Go to the opposing boss and try to force a fight, or grab the tribute and be safe. They decide to go for the former, and sadly it does not work out for them, which allows for L5 to head up and contest the tribute. If they get this, they will have a curse pushing in with a boss in the bottom lane towards the keep.
Rich looks in to see where the members of L5 are posturing. L5 do not have to fight this. But
They
Hooligan's
do,
gonna go in, and they're gonna do it.
Hooligan jumps in. Tist will have Lenara in his belly. Stun. Rich comes in with the swipe.
Protect barely keeps Reset alive. Hooligan dives out the brink of death, throws down the Thunderburn, and Zeratul is eliminated from the fight. It's a 1-for-1.
SDA with the Archon is able to get a kill on Zeratul, and they're looking for a kill as well, continuing the chase. Jonghwa looking at Tis. Can he hit the tongue? The tongue goes out. Here comes Sway. He's going to put him against the wall. He doesn't quite hit it, but he puts him in a corridor as Tassadar beams him to death.
Hooligan throws a Storm Bolt around the bend. Reset's going to deal with the boss as best he can. Now Sake joining should be able to clear this up fairly fast, but that is the L5 curse.
Gilly straight flowing here as the boss flowing down to the bottom lane, gonna start taking out the keep as it gets low on health, underneath half HP, and without a Lenara, L5 is chasing. They're looking for another kill. They find Greymane, they land the drag, Swoy's on the side. They don't quite have the damage, but they don't mind being near core.
Sake waits for as long as he can until he disengages back to the Nexus to heal back up. L5 hoping that they could use that 20 advantage to get a quick victory, but alas, they'll have to be okay with taking a keep instead.
10 more seconds until Stitches is up. L5 with level 20, continuing to push in the Giants, and Lenara is bounding her way down here to group up with her teammates. Will they make the call to go for a push and get more on this keep while they have a full level? The answer is looking like a no, as they go ahead and posture around the Knights. Sad part about this is there will be time for MVP Black to get level 20, so we still have a late game on our hands.
Well, let's talk level 20s for L5. We've got Twilight Archon, which is the standard with Archon. Contagion, which we've seen a lot of, quite a lot of, especially lately here at this event when they have Isolation. And Rewind, Shield of Hope, Ariel was considering, but she still has that. And I do believe that that is the 80% movement speed.
That it is.
Stride, Galloping Gate for Lunara. MVP Black almost a 20. What are we looking at? We're going to have Rewind. Redemption will be huge for Uther.
While I actually enjoy that level 20 here for Lenara, because when you do proc it, when Dragon Blade is coming your way, you can bank hard enough to where you can actually dodge out on the Dragon Blade trying to hit you. So it is a skilled matchup that is allowed here for Lenara. Sad thing is it might not quite help out against Zeratul, which is the other threat.
Bulwark of Light over Redemption.
Oh.
Kyocha's life just became that much more meaningful.
This has
But
been
2
picked.
extra seconds and a cooldown reduction.
Yeah, it's been picked a couple times in this tournament. Usually with the Genji in particular, you're wanting that Dragon Blade to mix with the level 20, and you just get that infinite Dragon Blade going. So you have a nice foundation to start off when you have a few seconds of invulnerability. Will it pay off, though? Because again, as you just mentioned, Uther suddenly becomes a target.
Some differing options for Stitches, but Hungry Stitches generally is what we see at level 20 once you have Gorge.
Good here, too. I mean, you have
Yeah.
the hook combo into someone you can grab. If they come in for the counter engage, you turn around with the extra Gorges. A little bit odd to pick up with the fishing hook, but you can definitely see opportunities for it to be great. MVP Black's looking around for now, and it's all about tributes now, obviously, as we're going to be waiting for that second and third one to pop up for MVP Black. Both teams dancing around each other. L5 has the Wisp, while MVP Black has the Zeratul.
Hungry Stitches just has so much potential around boss fights,
Yeah.
around core fights. If they get to a point where they're on core and they're able to use those extra few seconds of damage-free bliss.
And there she is, Hungry Stitches.
Tribute is spawning. We're getting late enough that a big team wipe would be colossal for L5. They already have the keep down.
It's all about control of the chokes and dodging Tist. Tist goes for the hook, but somehow, some way, SDE is aware of it, drops down the dimensional shift, and you'll see L5 posture forward. They're looking for an engage, but here's Rich with the flank.
Flanking in, Singularity Spike goes down, using it for Rich to get into position. Has 2 people inside of this Void Prison, while Jungha and Hooligan hop out of the stomach of Tist.
The Hungry Stitch is actually hurting there, keeping the tanks alive for a solid amount of time. Jongwa turns around. Tis is the focus. Shield of Hope popping here from Swoy to keep Zeratul off them. Genji's low. Reset barely getting away.
Reset lives, but what can he do in the meantime? Zeratul's already gone. Sake now
they get
the
one
target.
more.
Stormbolt hits him. They're going to.
That's Zeratul, and that is Greymane. Genji the only one up, and he does not have Dragon Blade. L5 will turn around and charge for the core. In fact, they may have found a Kyocha in their quest to take out a core.
There's a drag as Genji is taken out, and only a Stitches and Uther remain in their quest to stop L5 from winning this game. L5 constantly throughout this game, maintaining control over the team fights with their double support, not giving MVP Black the opening, even with their Dragon Blade. And L5 will take this game.
Patience and coordinated play helping out for L5. They'll get the victory and go up 2-1 in this series. Only moments where it felt like they were having a hard time is when that fishing hook came online and got a few picks.
Yeah, they got a couple of really nice picks there. Long distance fishing hooks, especially the one against Oriel stood out where they were trying to get the kill. But to be honest, I really like the way that L5 handled it. Most of the time, Murden shielding against the hook and always able to escape here. For me, the story really was Lunara and Zeratul. It was pretty cool to see the dynamic between the two of them.
What do you think of that Thornwood Vine instead of the Leaping Strike?
I think it's really nice for the poke, but it's also the more riskier play here to make, and that just shows a lot of trust into the double support here, keeping him alive, especially, of course, with the Oracle also on Tassadar, always trying to give him a little bit of vision on Zeratul and from where he's going to sneak in. But it's definitely a bold move considering that you know this Zeratul is going to look for you.
Well, let's check out a replay from that last game.
Yeah, we had the last fight. I mean, most of the scenes that we had in the battle I felt were very much individual plays, but the last fight, there was a bit of miscommunication. First of all, the dodge here on the hook was absolutely fantastic with the dimensional shift on Tassadar. But then we are seeing the engagement with Zeratul. Rich now trying to interrupt, first of all, but then also Gorge being used. Here already comes the immediate Void Prison. But you can see that everybody seems to be a little bit confused on the sides of L5. Instead of getting away, trying to isolate the target, they all of a sudden feel forced to capitalize on the Void Prison. They move in, and then it's just chaos that ensues here. Stitch just walking away, nearly surviving. It was fantastic to see how Reset is able to get away here, but Zeratul just dies, and then from that point on, we can just see that L5 is starting to take full control over the fight. They have the double support to keep them alive and just pressure it in, force them back.
Gilly, did you see that Shield of Hope there from the Oriel too? Zeratul came in, they get the snipe on Lennar, and Swoy's like, boop, and Zeratul just got crushed.
I bet he's happy he picked that over Angelic Flight. Well, with that lead, or with that victory, L5 now takes a 2-1 lead in this best of 7 series. After the break, we will be back with more from the grand finals of the Eastern Clash.
Introducing HGC Cheer,